What's up, y'all? This is Relly back with another video. Yes, and today we have to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers and what they're going to have to do in the offseason in order to help their future. But before we get into that, I need y'all to smash that subscribe button. When y'all are done with that, I need y'all to hover over to that like button and smash that too, so we can tell the YouTube algorithm to share this video with the world. But with all that being said, let's get into the video.
Here's this play I'm talking about. Just good hustle. What is Kevin Love?
Love go back to Portland. Will he go back to Portland? Every time your name is mentioned, and I hear some people say, well, Kev don't really want to play at home, and some people are like, no, he open. Could you dispel that finally real quick, Kev? What's your view on playing home?
By the way, who wouldn't want to play with Dame Lillard, first of all?
Okay, all right, well,
yeah,
all right.
I mean, he's special, bro. He's amazing. I still love. I claim Portland. When people ask me where I'm from, I spent all my formative years. I grew up in Portland. People ask me where I'm born. Obviously, I say LA. But Portland is always going to be a special place in my heart. Like, whether it be at the end of my career, whether it be in 6 months, whatever it may be. If I was wearing a Portland jersey, I mean, that's special, right? Like that's playing at home.
Respectfully, we need to find a way to get Kevin Love up out of Cleveland, right? I respect what he has done for Cleveland. I respect what he's done to help us win an NBA championship. But Kevin Love has consistently shown why we need to trade him now, right? He is only making it harder for the Cleveland Cavaliers to try to get him up out of here. And it's already worse that we gave him a contract so absurd that it's very, very hard for us to try to package him with any type of trade, right? And we cannot afford to let another player walk for absolutely nothing. And I know a lot of people's going to sit here and say, just waive him, free up the cap, good riddance. But for the Cleveland Cavaliers, you got to understand, man, that freeing up cap doesn't necessarily mean A+. You get what I'm saying? Freeing up cap for small market teams like us does not necessarily help us when we are not a free agent destination. And if you free up this money, right, trying to get a talent and you don't get the talent, why did you free up the money, right? And it just don't make sense. Very similar to the New York Knicks, right? They traded Kristaps Porzingis to free up cap to get Kyrie Irving, KD. They didn't get Kyrie Irving, they did not get KD, but they settled to get Julius Randle. At the moment, people clowned them for getting Julius Randle, as they should, because you freed up all of these talents, all of this money just to get Julius Randle. Looking back at it, Julius Randle is hooping. Hooray for the New York Knicks. But what really saved the New York Knicks is that they built a culture. They didn't panic, and they built a culture, right? And they established, once again, why they are a big market team, mecca of basketball, and now talent want to be there, right? Unfortunately for the Cleveland Cavaliers, we do not have that luxury of being a big market team. So we have to do the Brooklyn Nets approach, and we have to establish that culture. We have to show these talents, these stars, these players that we are trying to make something that's suitable for a player trying to win, right? And if we can do that over the years, we could be in the chance to make our money count in the free agency. And this is why we got to trade Kevin Love first to help us build that culture. We got to talk about the Collin Sexton drama because it's apparent that it's some players in our organization, on the team, that's just not feeling how Collin Sexton is playing offensively, right? They're not feeling how Collin Sexton approaches the game, right? And I've been saying this time and time again, Collin Sexton's IQ, passing-wise, is very questionable. His shot making is questionable. Is he a great scorer? Absolutely, and he has a lot of potential scoring that basketball. But his IQ, preferably passing, is very questionable, right? Like, anybody who watches basketball or understand basketball, you understand that fact. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of people speculated one of those people got to be Kevin Love, but when you got reports saying it's a legitimate portion of the locker room, Kevin Love is not the only person that feels that way, right? And that's a problem, right? And I feel like Collin Sexton this offseason, right? I feel like he should talk to some players that's somewhat his play style, right? Like that hybrid scoring guard, right? Like I feel like he should talk to players like Kyrie Irving or Allen Iverson. You get what I'm saying? Isaiah Thomas, especially when he was in his prime. Those type of point guards who's not traditionally the traditional point guard, but more so a scoring point guard. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying he has to be a CP3 level passer. I'm not saying he has to have a CP3 IQ. You get what I'm saying? No, but he must be aware of his surroundings. He must be aware of what's around him so he can be a better player for him and the team. You get what I'm saying? Because let's be real, if he was more so like Kyrie Irving, people wouldn't have a problem with his pass mechanics because Kyrie's not the best passer, right? But he understands when he's in trouble and he has to kick it out, and he understands when a person is open when he broke down a defense. You get what I'm saying? Now, we must start talking about what we can do to help the Cleveland Cavaliers ensure their future. And the only way we can do this is by talking about what we should do in the draft, what we should do in free agency, and what should the lineup be for next season. Now, as soon as the offseason starts and we're permitted to make trades in the offseason, we need to shop and trade Kevin Love. Now, this trade right here is something I created. It's a rough trade. It probably needs a lot of corrections. Drop down in the comments what you would do differently. But I think this would be a great trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers, a great trade for the Clippers, and a great trade for the Atlanta Hawks, right? We get rid of Kevin Love, we get Pat Bev back, we get Tony Snell, and we get Luke Kennard. That all helps us. We get some vets, we get some shooters, and we could flip, which is what I think we should do with Patrick Beverley and Tony Snell to try to get maybe a future first round or a future second round pick so we can help start shaping up a roster, which is what the Cleveland Cavaliers must start doing. We need to start thinking long term, right? We need to see what we can do to fill the needs just in case something goes wrong. And I think this trade does it, right? While on Atlanta, they get some vets, they get some players that can fit that system. In the Clippers, they get a Kevin Love who can space the floor and fit in that triangle system. This is what I think our team should look like, assuming we make that trade before the draft, right? This is what our roster should look like, right? We should have Jared Allen, Sexton, Darius Garland, Larry Nance Jr., Lamar Stevens, Dean Wade, Dylan Windler, Isaac Okoro, Luke Kennard, Patrick Beverley, right? And I feel like we should actively shop Patrick Beverley, even though I have him on the roster, because I feel like we should use him almost how we did with JaVale McGee. Like, if we don't trade him, he would be a good veteran piece and another backup point guard to help develop Darius Garland and Collin Sexton. But the players I think we should not sign or trade should be Kevin Love, Cedi Osman, you get what I'm saying, Tony Snell, and Isaiah Hartenstein, right? And I might have botched his name. I'm sorry. But I feel like those are the players we should try to shop. Now, Isaiah, I wouldn't mind keeping him, especially because he can shoot and he's a power forward. But I think based off of the moves I'm going to make after this, it would only make sense not to keep him on the roster. A lot of people have been asking me, Relly, who should the Cleveland Cavaliers be eyeing in this NBA draft, right? And I feel like it is 3 players that we should be eyeing, right? It should be Cade Cunningham, Jonathan Kuminga, and Scotty Barnes, right? I think those 3 prospects should be on our eyes, right? They should be on our radar. Those 3 players, I feel like if we are in the situation to get them, we should draft them, right? Now, Cade Cunningham, based off of our lottery projections, we're probably not going to get Cade Cunningham unless we trade up, right? Unless we trade up. But if we are once again in that 6, 7, 8 spot, which is what Cleveland Cavaliers is projected to be in the draft, I think realistically we can get our hands on Jonathan Kuminga or Scotty Barnes, and preferably based off of what I've seen, based off of all the the tape and videos I've started watching and researching, I think Jonathan Kuminga would be a killer for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like how he moves, how he facilitates the ball, right? Like he moves like a guard, right? For him to be that size, I think he would be a very talented player to have for the Cleveland Cavaliers and give us another dimension that will help Jared Allen still be able to be himself at that center position. You get what I'm saying? This free agency and next year's free agency is going to be very, very important for all 30 teams in the NBA. But for our team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think it is one player right now that's going to be a free agent that will help us immediately, and that's no other than Kelly Oubre. I think Kelly Oubre is somebody I think we can truly attract in free agency because we can give him the money and we can promise him and guarantee him that he would start at that small forward position, which I think will be a determining factor if he resigns or go to another team in free agency. Also, we're going to pay Jared Allen, right? We're going to pay Jared Allen this offseason. Like it or not, we're going to pay him. Hopefully, we don't overpay for him. I think overpay would be anything above 130 million plus would be overpay. I think if we can get him in that 80 to 100 million range, that would be ideal. If you somehow get him under that, Kobe Altman, by default he gets a B minus for sure. But I think realistically, Jared Allen is going to get that 100 million to 120 million frame. You get what I'm saying? I think that's realistic in today's game, right? I'm not a fan of how much money these players is getting because I feel like it's a kill to your salary cap. But since this is how it is, I think that is a logical amount of money for Jared Allen talent and his potential. Now, this is what I believe the roster should be looking like after free agency, right? With the new additions of Luke Kennard, Kelly Oubre, and Jonathan Kuminga, I think this roster would be very exciting to watch and have a lot of potential, right? Especially with the addition of Kelly Oubre, because I feel like his impact on the Cavs would be a lot bigger than I'm really saying. You get what I'm saying? I think Kelly Oubre would be the best player for the young guys. He'd be the best player for a culture. He'd be the best player for a small forward for the Cavs. And he just brings excitement to the Cavs because of how he plays the game of basketball, right? Like, a culture will automatically gravitate to Kelly Oubre. I'm not saying Kelly Oubre is a star, but it's certain players in the NBA that doesn't have to be stars that just have that star-like energy that players just simply like playing with. And Kelly Oubre is just one of them. Down in the comments below, let me know what y'all would do for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the offseason. And for more amazing content, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of the grind. And with that being said, go.
Hey, motivated all about cash flow, ran it up and ran out of excuses. In the field and we turn into hoopers. For the clip like bonds we shoot. Just like some soldiers we trooping. Step back three, we hooping. We on house just like Fortnite.